All right, welcome to the Young Turks. We got a crazy show for you. I know I say that 2 out of 3 days, but we really do. It's going to be a hell of a fun show. Michael Moore's on the show. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. Anna's going to come back tomorrow. The one thing she's going to be most pissed about is that we booked Michael Moore while she was gone. She's going to be like, no. It just totally happened randomly. How do I know he's going to be on the show? Because I already interviewed him. That happened earlier today. And something really funny happened in the interview. I should have tweeted this out. I put it out on Twitter that he's going to be on the show. But we had a Lou Dobbs moment. Producer came in the middle of the interview. Oh, JR, you haven't seen it yet, right? Oh, it's going to be awesome. Okay, I'm going to lead with that, so don't worry about it. I'm coming to that next, okay? But first, I have a declaration for you guys, which is fun for everybody. Young Turks hit 200 million views on YouTube. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Oh, wait, hold on. Now that you got a graphic. I mean, that's all it is. That's all. We're not bragging about it. Okay? We're not saying it. We haven't said a word. Not a word. All right. Look, we love everybody for watching on YouTube, for watching on theyoungturks.com, for listening on XM and Sirius, etc. So let me tell you real quick. We have a whole network now. Everybody watch out. We're coming. We're coming for you. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're not, go to youtube.com/theyoungturks to see our channel, right? There it is. Well, you look at that. Now, if you're watching, I believe we're missing an I in official, but nonetheless, fun for everybody. So if you're watching on YouTube, right underneath the video is, on the main channel page, is the new network. So you'll see TYT interviews. So the Michael Moore interview today, Howard Dean interview from last week, and on it goes. And then right underneath that is What the Flick Show. It's our new movie review show. And like we did Shutter Island, Cop Out this week, we're going to do Brooklyn's Finest and Alice in Wonderland. So everybody check out the movie reviews on What the Flick Show, and all of the Young Turks interviews. All of them get put up on TYT interviews. And we're connecting like crazy through the social media. So this weekend, I don't know if you should be following me on Twitter, JR and Jesus. Although Jesus is like a Luddite. Okay, doesn't even go on the internet on the weekend. You know what I tweeted out this weekend? Pictures of rainbows. Okay, a rainbow came over the Hollywood Hills, and I'm looking at it from home. I'm like, that's just the prettiest thing I've ever seen. You know, some people are going to question, right? But no, I'm secure enough in my sexuality that I'm going to tweet out a picture of a rainbow. And I took a picture, and I put it on Twitter.
You tweeted this. Is it possible for people to unsubscribe to your Twitter account?
It is, and I believe some did.
That's what I mean, either you're going for another demographic, the Oxygen, lifetime demographic.
No, I'm going to show you the picture. You're going to be impressed. Anyway, so obviously some personal stories, random celebrities I ran into, including Jerry West over the weekend. Random. And then, of course, announcements about the show, et cetera, et cetera. And then Facebook, we set up a whole new thing. It turns out on Facebook, the fan pages are easier to navigate and to communicate with listeners and stuff. So we're going to put up some more personal pictures, but we want everybody to communicate with each other in the Facebook fan page, the TYT page. That's all also right underneath the video on the main channel on YouTube. And then Google Buzz, that just started recently, and that thing's taken off because all the updates from Twitter, Facebook, videos, etc., all go on Google Buzz, so that's an easy way to keep track of us no matter what's happening. So we love you guys for getting us to 200 million views. We'll see your ass at 300 million views, and then 500, and then, when we get to 1 billion. Can you imagine? I can't imagine, and it's going to be a little something like, don't believe. No. That was wrong, because right between the bugle and the fireworks is randomly. Don't believe the hype. What's that doing? When's the last time I played that? All right. Anyway, so now Michael Moore is the director of Capitalism, A Love Story. And we had him on the show a little earlier. We taped it. And you have to understand, I'm going to give you the context as you're about to watch this. These are satellite interviews. Normally it'd be what they call press junkets. And so he'll sit in a room in the satellite and he'll go from one station to another, right? So you got to keep it kind of quick. Now, they're doing it over Skype, but we couldn't somehow set it up here through Skype, so we just had him on the phone. But he's going through that Skype thing, so the audio's not great on it. So that's one issue. The other thing is there's a panic producer whose job it is to be panicked, don't get me wrong, who's trying to move you along. And they're way behind schedule, and I waited here some time before they got to us, and it happens, right? And I wasn't bothered by that at all. But so we're going to get one of those, that's it, the interview's over. But Michael Moore is going to step in and regulate. So here's the unedited version that you can only see on theyoungturks.com. Uh-oh. Go. Now joining us, Michael Moore, director of Capitalism, A Love Story, and a couple other ones you might remember, Sicko, Fahrenheit 9/11, Bowling for Columbine, Roger and Me, just to name a few. Michael, welcome to the Young Turks.
Thank you. Don't forget Blue Hawaii, too, with Elvis.
All right. So the DVD is coming out for Capitalism soon. My question is, I saw the movie. Obviously, we agree on a lot of things, including the huge flaws in the system as it currently exists. But do you think that capitalism is fundamentally flawed and we need to change it entirely? If so, to what?
Yes, I do believe it's fundamentally flawed because I don't think that in the 21st century, the big decisions that need to be made should be based on profit. Should be based on what we need as a society and what the world needs. And when I say that, I don't mean that I don't think people should be able to earn money or do well if they work hard or have a great idea or whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. The kind of capitalism that we have now is a three-card money game, and it's rigged. It's rigged against the working person. And I just think that until we decide that we have to get away from that and into a more democratic economy, in other words, economic decisions that are made by our elected representatives, as opposed to Wall Street, the banks, the Fed, et cetera, et cetera.
But how do we do it? How do we do it? How do we switch to that system?
Well, the first thing we have to, actually, no switch will occur until we remove money from politics. So
Agreed.
we would have to start a movement where people will be running for Congress and for Senate and signing a pledge that states that they will not accept in their first run here for election, more than $25 or $50 from person. And after that, when they get in there, their number one priority is to remove funding of our elections from individuals who have the most money and have it be federally funded like it is in most democracies.
So you think that campaign finance reform is the critical part of this?
Yeah, because nothing else will happen. Look at right now. Here we are, guys. We're a year and a half away from the crash. A year and a half since the big crash. Not one single regulation has been put back in place. Not one rule. And so Wall Street, they're back to doing the crazy derivatives. They're back to the credit default swaps. They're back to all the crazy loony bin casino stuff that got us in the mess that we're in. And Congress has not done one single thing to stop it.
In the movie you talk about Chris Dodd, and of course he's the head of the Finance Committee, and now he's retiring. But that might be a worse thing, Michael, because now he's got a payday coming just a couple of months from now. That's going to give him a lot of incentive to not be so tough on the banks, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I guess that's one way to look at it. But
yeah, because
a boy can hope.
Because part of the problem is the implicit bribe that these guys are getting. The Treasury official just left yesterday, Dave Munches, I believe is his name, and he's got a great lobbying gig now with the Cyprus Advisory Group. So it's not just the campaign money they take. It's not just their advisors that leave, but themselves. They leave at some point and they get huge money. So how do we ever fix a system that's broken, especially given that it appears that Obama has no intention of doing so?
Well, you want the honest answer?
Yes, definitely.
It's not going to get fixed. There's going to be another crash. The commercial real estate bubble hasn't burst yet. That's going to burst. The credit card debt is so huge right now, it'll never be repaid. That's a house of cards ready to fall. So the crash of '08 is going to look like coming attractions, and we're in for a much, much worse time. That's what I honestly feel, but you don't want to hear that from me, do you? I mean, I'm only the guy who said that there weren't going to be any weapons of mass destruction in Iraq and that we were being lied to. And I'm the guy who 20 years ago made his first film saying that General Motors was a piece of crap company that was going to slide down the hill and bring us all down with it. So don't listen to me.
Michael, last thing,
No,
because
I'm sorry. We have to go. We got other people stacked up behind you. Thanks. This time.
Where's that voice coming from?
What's that?
Where? I don't know. Do you hear a voice?
I don't hear a voice.
I
I
don't
hear
know.
the
Just keep going.
producer.
I don't know. There's somebody talking to us. Keep going.
Okay, so part of the problem, Michael, is if it does crash, and I have the same fear as you do, right, is that then the right-wing media is going to step in and say, hey, listen, you know what? It was too much government, and it was too much regulation, and it was the progressives who are the cancer, et cetera, et cetera.
Ooh, oh, I know. I'm so afraid of the right wing saying that. Ooh, typical Democrats. Well, that's the way the Democrats think. Ooh, they're going to say bad things about us. Oh, we better not do too much. Ooh, you know, I tell you, these Democrats are disgusting wimps and wusses and weasels. You know, get some spine. This is why I actually admire the Republicans. They at least stand for something. They at least have the courage of their convictions. They get elected to office, they come into town, and they go, get out of my way. There's a new sheriff in town. This is the way we're doing things. Get out of here. And then they do it. You know? I mean, what they do is crazy. But damn it, they are good at it.
Well,
and we should take a page out of their book.
I couldn't agree more with that. So to finish that thought, if you were, for example, Van Jones, how would you have responded to Glenn Beck?
Fuck off. That's what I would have said. But again, you mentioned Glenn Beck, and of course, he's the guy that I think called for my removal from the planet Earth. So
it's someone you're familiar with. So apparently you have that refrain ready. All right, Michael Moore is the director of Capitalism, Love Story, that's coming out on DVD. Thank you so much for joining us on the Young Turks. We really appreciate it.
Hey, guys, thanks a lot. I love listening to you. I'm serious. Thanks.
Thank you. Oh, well, you look at that. Okay, Michael Moore on the Young Turks. I like that. Now, we put up the edited version of that, or we're about to, on TYT interviews. Dave, fire. Set it to public. Go. Okay. Because without giving the context, people are going to be so confused as to that producer jumping in the middle. They're like, who the hell is that jumping in the middle of the story? No, that's it. We're out of time. But let's talk first, before I get to the substance of it. JR, was that fun? Dobbs was a little better, right?
Yeah, Dobbs, the producer, had a little bit more panic in her voice. And, you know, at least when you and Michael disputed it this time, he just shut up. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you and Dobbs kept talking, she just couldn't contain herself. She had to keep coming back. It's like, no. In fact, I got to get that. I lost it. I got to get it again.
Okay. All right. We'll effort that. All right. Now on the substance of what Michael Moore said. Look, there's something scary there, right? And, you know, I think that there's an excellent chance that he's right. And now, you know, I've been depressing you already with many stories about how the Democrats are sellouts and they're never going to do any of this stuff. Yesterday we talked about how they're not going to do financial reform. We've talked for a year now about how they watered down health care reform. We're going to talk about it again today, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't see these guys turning it around without some cataclysmic event. And we had a cataclysmic event in 2008, and that didn't do it. I mean, that didn't. Moore is right. A year and a half later, how much reform do we have in the financial industry? None. None. It's insanity. Okay? So the question for me, and the reason I went in that direction is, and look, I'll put it this way. I think there's at least a 40% chance that we have another financial cataclysmic event. I don't mean a recession, of course. There's a 100% chance at some point we'll have a recession. I mean, the shit hits the fan, and we don't have any money to rescue anything anymore, okay? I mean, that you know, take 2008, as Moore said, and multiply it a couple of times. And then we don't know what to do, right? And at that point, people are incredibly angry. I mean, if you thought they were angry before, and people are starting to grab some pitchforks, and that's why I went to that next step. For me, the question is, if that happens, if in my estimation is about 40% chance, Michael Moore thinks it's a little bit more likely. if that happens, the country is either going to go to the right and say, well, Glenn Beck's been telling me it was the government's fault, and so let's have less government, which, is, in my worldview, if you got a brawl that breaks out in the middle of a game and your answer is to take out the refs, that's a bad answer, okay? That's going to lead to an even bigger brawl, and it's going to involve this getting into the stands and the audience, etc., right? Or then, at that point, the country's going to say, all right, let's go. Let's actually get an ass kicker on the left side. Somebody who's a real populist who's going to come in and clean house, okay? Who is that? I mean, is it Howard Dean? Howard Dean is a moderate. Jesus Christ, have we lost track of what's happening in this country? We had a guest on here from Vermont. The liberals, thought Howard Dean was way too conservative when he was governor of Vermont. Now Howard Dean seems like he's some sort of, wow, if we had a cataclysmic event, then maybe we would turn to the moderate Howard Dean to be the crazy far left guy. I mean, we're so far gone. Without that big shakeup, they're never going to do any of these reforms. I mean, I don't know how to get beyond it. I mean, I've got a couple ideas. Adam Green's got a couple ideas. We're working hard, right? And Howard Dean has a couple of ideas. Everybody's working hard. And campaign finance reform is certainly at the heart of it, right? But it seems that without some major event, how do you get to the campaign finance reform when all the senators are already bought? So it's fairly disastrous. And then I love how he didn't pull any punches. And what do you think Van Jones should say to Glenn Beck? Well, he was fairly clear on that. And even Van Jones, who was supposed to be, according to Beck, the anarchist, radical, communist, Mao lover, instead of getting tough on Glenn Beck, talked about how he loves him. Where's the, to go to his Democrats or weasels point, everybody knows this, right? I mean, God, they're so sad. Anyway, where are ass kickers? Where are the people who are going to burn the house down, proverbially? Okay? And say, I'm coming to your house. I mean, is it Alan Grayson? Is it Anthony Weiner? Is it Howard Dean? Is 3 enough? I don't know. God, they got an army on the other side. We got to build our own army, man. And look, we certainly can't wait around for that cataclysmic event. We hope it doesn't happen, right? We hope, of course, that we can rescue things before the economy crashes again, and we're all screwed, right? And we're all out of money. So let's build that A-team, and let's get out there and try to fix this thing. I still have a little bit of hope left, and we'll do our best here. But it was great having Michael Moore on the show. Let's come back and show you some of the damage on the other side and what the latest is today. All right? Young Turks.
Young Turks. TYT. Young Turks. Young Turks. TYT, Rebel Headquarters, that's where you can find me. All the way to prime time, that's right, that's where we headed. The #1 progressive talk show, don't you forget it. That's right. Politics, entertainment. If you don't understand, let me explain.
All right, welcome to the Young Turks. I'm your host, Jake Uger, Jared Jackson producing, Jesus Godoy directing. We're going to have a great hour for you guys. All right, first let's start with healthcare. Why not? Everybody's having fun. No, actually, let me do a quick update on money. He has finally accepted a deal.
Excuse me.
All right. And the Democrats appear that they did not buckle, which is surprising. We thought they were going to, even though they're obviously and clearly winning, but that's never stopped them before. And it appears the deal that they struck was simply to let Bunning have a vote on his amendment to take the $10 billion that would go to the extension of benefits from the stimulus money. And so that's what he wanted to do. They'll take that vote will lose, and then everybody will move on. Apparently Bunning, right before that deal, had upped the ante by blocking all Obama nominees again. So what's new? Okay, so that's going to lead into the healthcare story, because in the healthcare story, we have more Republican obstinance, and we have more, of course, Democratic weakness, generally speaking. Let me start You know what? I'll come back to the public option and what the Democrats are and aren't doing with it. But let me start with Obama's new proposal for health care. It's going to come out tomorrow, but we already have word of exactly what's in it. Associated Press has a story on this. And he has 4 new concessions to the Republicans. Okay. So I'll tell you what the 4 concessions are, and then we'll see if it worked. We'll see if he got some Republicans on board. Right. All right, anyway, so here we go. 4 concessions. Conducting undercover investigations of Medicare and Medicaid providers to search for waste, fraud, and abuse. That was an idea put forward by Tom Coburn during the meeting. I said, look, that's an interesting idea. Right? As soon as he said it, I said, that's new, that's different, and why not? So Obama accepts that. I'm on board. It makes sense. Okay. He's also going to experiment with specialized health courts as an alternative to jury trials in medical malpractice cases to cut down on defensive medicine. This was supported by Coburn and Enzi of Wyoming. Yeah, okay, I can live with that. And he's going to double the budget that he already had for states to experiment with different ways to keep down litigation costs. He's going to take that budget of experimentation from $23 million all the way to $50 million. And so if you come up with these health courts that maybe still hears from someone who has been wronged, but at the same time can limit costs a little bit better. Okay, yeah, I think it's certainly worth experimenting on. Check, I'm on board. Okay, so no problem. Obama also agreed that health savings accounts would be offered in new markets his plan sets up for individuals and small businesses to purchase coverage. That was a Barrasso suggestion also from Wyoming, another Republican. The health savings accounts, if adopted on a wide scale, could be a scam. Okay, but if you want to try it on a smaller scale and see if it works, all right, I'm open, no problem. Okay, and then point number 4 is Obama also suggested increasing reimbursements for Medicaid providers, and that was a concern raised by Chuck Grassley of Iowa, saying, hey, look, Medicaid keeps the cost down, but some doctors don't take it because the reimbursements are simply too low, so Obama's opening to raising those a little bit. Is that a fair compromise? Would I go there? I'm not sure. Maybe I would. You know, I'd have to see the numbers behind it. But is it a fair compromise? Absolutely. So 4 not bad suggestions by Republicans, and some of them could even be helpful, all accepted by Obama. Now remember, progressives initially wanted a single payer, right? That was immediately jettisoned, fell off the cliff, right? Then tried for a robust public option. That didn't work. Then we went for some kind of public option that applies to kind of 5% of the people. That didn't work. So it's already all crumbled in. And then on top of that, Obama, in order to do the bipartisan summit last Monday, put out a bill that was even weaker. That did more concessions to the Republicans. Now he's got 4 more concessions to the Republicans. So this is just about as weak as it could possibly get, right? Although, like I said, I don't mind these concessions, and those are fair compromise. So at the end of all this, obviously, we have a deal, right? I mean, there's the only way to reach out to the Republicans more is if you just simply let them write the bill. And they've had 8 years to write a bill under Bush. They didn't, so the bill would have nothing in it because they don't want to do a reform, and they haven't wanted to do it in decades. So anyway, but maybe I'm being wrong. Let's see what the Republican reaction is, right? Grassley said, well, he's happy that his proposal was accepted. He said, quote, there are other things that are more important. No vote. Shocking. Coburn said, well, that's just one thing, referring to actually a couple of his suggestions, but mainly the Medicare fraud one that was accepted. We need to start over. Excuse me, I got a cough coming on. All right, and sometimes that lasts for weeks, so we got some trouble on this show. All right. We need to start over. So, of course! They're not going to go for any of these compromises. I actually think they're playing the politics of it wrong. If I was the Republicans and I really wanted to kill this bill, what I'd do is go, oh, you know what? These are pretty good ideas. We got a couple of others. If you talk to us, we're open to it. We might do something. Just keep talking to us for another 6 months or so. And that would be a great way of killing the bill. But at this point, it looks like the Republicans don't even want to kill the bill. They think they've watered down enough that it's going to be a terrible bill. That if it passes, that they can attack it politically for all the things they engineered putting in it. So I've now seen a number of stories that lead me to believe that Mitch McConnell is not doing all he can to kill this bill, because, and in fact, he said today that if this bill passes as it is, that will be the #1 issue that they run on in 2010 to repeal this bill, because they're going to say that it's a disaster for the American people, la la la, et cetera, after they got almost everything they wanted in the bill. So I don't mind these concessions. I think that they're fine. I would have done them as well. But the idea behind it is ridiculous, okay? And as always, you come back to the same thing, okay? They're either pathetically weak and stupid, and they don't know how to play this game at all. They keep negotiating against themselves and get 0 votes to show for their efforts, or they're in on it. This is the way that they go, oh, wow, oh, Republicans, oh, yeah, oh, what can I do? Healthcare companies, you like these? Drug companies, you love them? Health insurance? Yeah, okay, all right, let's sign it. Oh, Republicans made me water it down. Okay, let's sign it. How could the Republicans make you water it down when they give you 0 votes? No, you did it to get more money out of your corporate backers. Sometimes I get discouraged and feel my work's in vain. All right, but those are the times that I turn to Adam Green. I tell you what. If there's a public option in this bill, first of all, I would be shocked, okay? Second of all, you have to understand, let me state my bias right up front. I know Adam. I like Adam, okay? I know him personally, right? But I swear to you, I'm telling you this as someone trying to be objective as possible reading the news. If the public option's in there, I've never seen anyone outside of government have as much of an effect in getting it done as Adam Green. Today, Tom Harkin was on Ed Schultz's show. He's like, look, I know Adam Green's trying to get this thing done. Okay? And he's like, and he's, it's a good effort, and I like it, et cetera, et cetera. But of course, he says no, right? I'll get back to that in a second. So Adam's in charge of the Progressive Change Campaign Committee, and he's organizing Democracy for America, Jim Dean, Howard Dean, et cetera, Credo Action. There's a lot of people involved, Move On, et cetera, right? But Adam is certainly one of the top organizers, and they're pushing and they're pushing. Now they're up to 34 senators. Before, when they were at 3 or 13 or, I don't know, 18, oh, well, it's still a small minority. They're up to 34. They can get up to like 57, right? You need 50 for reconciliation. And the White House is still going to say, I don't think we have the votes for the vote. Well, wait a minute. I have 57 who say, please, do the vote. I'll sign it right now. Go. No, we don't really quite have the votes. You know who they got today? Well, they got 4 new people. One of them is Ted Kaufman, who's in Delaware. Delaware has all the insurance companies. Man, that's nicely done, okay? Now, I'm going to be a little cynical about that in a second. But they also got Senator Bob Casey. He's a moderate from Pennsylvania, and a couple other Democrats to go along with them. So they're up to 34, right? The reason I'm a little cynical about the Kaufman thing and a lot of these guys is I think they know there's not going to be a vote. So they're like, yeah, sure. Okay? There ain't going to be no vote. Yeah, oh, sure, right. Yeah, no, I'm on board. Public option. Oh, if it comes up for a vote. And that's the last, about 7 of the senators are not signing the letter itself. What they're saying is, if it comes up for a vote, I will certainly vote for it, right? Full well knowing that it's not going to come up for a vote. So that's where how they play this game. And right now, Harkin or a little while ago, he was on Ed Schultz's program, talking about, Adam Green's doing a great job with this, and oh God, the public option would be so great. No, we're not going to do it. We're not even going to bring it up for a vote. He didn't address me by name, but the whole effort to take the damn vote started by someone I know. Not a big deal. No, a lot of people are doing it. In fact, Joe McCarter from Daily Coast wrote about it before I did. Anyway, it's obvious. Take the frickin' vote, right, on the public option, and then we'll see if we have the votes or not. And Harkin says, no, don't take the vote. Harkin claims to be one of the biggest defenders of the public option. He says, oh, I'm the guy who's always wanted the most. Okay, right. He says, if we even take the vote, it'll upset the delicate balance of the deal we have now. What do you mean? You take the vote by itself, not even attached to anything else. Okay, as an amendment on the public option. If it fails, it didn't upset anything. You still have the same deal. They're liars, man. They're liars. They're pathetic. They're corporatists. There's no hope. Okay, look, I'm telling you as it is. Michael Moore said it earlier. I'm saying it. Okay, don't get me wrong. Will they pass the bill? Yeah, they'll probably pass the bill. Will it have a public option? Again, I'd be shocked. Will it be strong? No. Will it be in favor of the corporate interest? Absolutely. Okay, now, speaking of passing the bill real quick, in the House side, they're having some trouble cobbling things together because of the abortion provision, et cetera. I don't want to get too deep into the weeds. But some previous no votes now might switch over to yes votes. Why? They're like, well, okay, you know, and here's where the Democrats that love to cave in would make their stand. Say, look, those guys, since you don't have a public option, it's easier to reel them back in. No, they're getting their own deals. Everybody's getting a deal. Okay, and right now there's massive horse trading going on in the House to see who's going to vote no, who's going to vote yes, but I'd be surprised if they didn't cobble it together. Now, on the upside, the candidate running against Blanche Lincoln in Arkansas, Bill Halter, we talked about him yesterday, lieutenant governor, and he's going to run a little bit to the left of Blanche Lincoln in Arkansas. He came out today in an interview with Huffington Post and said, yeah, I would vote for a public option. Okay. Now, remember, this is supposed to be bad politics. Democrats can't be in favor of it, otherwise they'll get killed. You know how much he raised in 36 hours after he said that? Or, well, when he declared and those groups supported him, then he says he's in favor of the public option altogether. $1 million. Okay. And the AFL-CIO ain't playing around anymore. So they're putting in $3 million. They're like, hey, Supreme Court said we could put in whatever we like. Here's $3 million. All of a sudden, the guy's got $4 million, which is huge in Arkansas. So all of a sudden, Blanche Lincoln's like, swang, wang, wang. Again, I would be shocked if Blanche Lincoln survived. So doesn't necessarily mean she's going to lose in the primary, but she's going to lose either in the primary or the general. And Bill Halter looks to be in terrific shape to take her on in the primary. Now he's got a lot of money behind him. And the reason I love that story more than anything else, more than because of Arkansas, more than because I love Bill Halter, I don't know a thing about Bill Halter, and I suspect he'll be a zombie within 2 years. But what I like about it is it gives the politicians the right incentive. If you're going to actually be progressive, we're going to give you money. Because somebody's buying the politicians. It's either the corporations or us. Might as well be us. Okay? So that's a very positive story in that regard. Okay, now, you know, we're talking about obstruction, whether it was bunning or healthcare. So let me do one small story on obstruction here before we take the break. AP had a story about this. They got the facts a little wrong, but I have the right facts here. But it was good because they were talking finally about how the Republicans are doing a record number of filibusters. JR, when did I start talking about how all of a sudden the Republicans were filibustering everything? Was it like the day after they were in the minority? Was it a year ago? Was it 3 years ago? Okay, so finally the Associated Press is like, oh my God, holy crap, they're doing filibuster. Did people know this? Turns out they've done a lot of them. Huh, you don't say. So here's some numbers for you. In the 111th Congress, which was the last Congress when the Republicans were already in the minority in the Senate, they did 112 cloture votes. That is just about double the previous record, okay? And then in this Congress so far, they've done 40 cloture votes, which means that, you know, they're well on their way to at least coming in second to their previous record, okay? So to give you a sense of the scope of it. And then, you know what? Here's two amazing facts, because I think I've told you those facts before, but get a load of this. In just the past 3 years, the Republicans have been responsible for 18% of all the filibusters recorded in the past 90 years. So since they've been doing the filibuster for the last 90 years, in just the last 3 years, the Republicans are responsible for 18% of all filibusters in history. Come on. Before, they never used them. Then they started to use them a little more, and the Republicans are like, use them for everything. And this is not an accurate count, because ever since they've been threatening cloture votes, Reid hasn't even taken them, which he's very wrong about. From a political perspective, he should make them go to cloture votes on every one of these, because that number wouldn't be 40. It'd be much, much higher, 3-4 times higher if Reid actually took the votes, because they are ready to filibuster on every issue. Reid just, oh, they threaten him, and he goes, oh, swang, wang, wang, and slinks away. All right, so that's the Republican obstruction. You guys are all familiar with it. Let's take a quick break here. And when we come back, at some point in this hour, I'm going to tell you about how disastrously the bipartisanship on financial reform is going to. But then Farrakhan gets in a UFO, and Dubai discriminates against Israelis. Does it make sense? Those are interesting stories. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to share them with you. Young Turks. All right, welcome back to the Young Turks. I'm your host, Cenk Uygur. Look at this, Brian Unger's back today.
Cenk, thanks for having me.
It's good to have you, man. It's great to have you.
I was just driving by, literally getting coffee at McDonald's. And
Next thing you know, we pulled him back in.
I like how it works.
Every time he tries to leave, we pull him back in. All right. Anna, by the way, will be back tomorrow, and that's going to rock. So, now, earlier in the show, we talked about how the Young Turks hit 200 million views on YouTube. Okay,
that's huge.
Well, what can I do? It's not a big deal. But
you're so humble.
You know,
I like that.
You know, I'm not saying anything. I haven't said a word. Mm-hmm. Okay, so except for the huge segment we did on it earlier. But there's a lot that I love about YouTube, and one of those things is the comments. So, Brian, I'm going to read you 3 comments from YouTube, ranging in veracity.
Are these about things in general or you specifically?
No, me specifically.
Okay.
I don't know which video it comes from.
Okay.
I just am amused by its lack of facts. All right, first, Leroy Jackson Jones, or a person pretending to be Leroy Jackson Jones, writes in, Cenk is a Sunni Muslim, and he attends a mosque in L.A.
Yeah.
That is why he does so many pro-terrorism videos. All liberals are either homosexuals, freeloaders, or low-life minorities.
Well, it's about time that he found this news out. Everybody knows that about you in town. I mean, that's like, you know.
And not just me, but all liberals. I mean, I don't know if I can call you a liberal, Brian. I mean, but if you are, which category are you in? Homosexual, freeloader, or low-life minority?
I'm kind of there's a part of me on the Kinsey scale of political spectrum. I'm all of those things in a weird way, but I think mostly just amused by this assessment.
I think that in that, look, if you're gay, you're like, yeah, homosexual, boom, no problem, right? If you're a minority, it's tough to call yourself a low-life minority. That's a little problematic, right?
Yeah.
I'm grabbing freeloader. I think freeloader is an easy way out. Sure, yeah.
I'm going to make this admission right now on your air. I'm Sunni. I'm a little Sunni. I'm just a little bit Sunni.
I was going to go with Shia, but it's okay. See, you threw me.
Just a little Sunni, and it started early when I was a kid. Just I felt Sunni. I felt different. Anyway, I
don't know why that amused me so much. A little Sunni.
I am a little Sunni.
So, and no, I have never attended a mosque in L.A. In fact, the other day I told a story about the last time I went to a mosque was in Brooklyn about 20 years ago. Okay, but anyway.
What were you doing there?
But it's because I was a little Sunni. No, I'm Turkish, so I was, I was brought up Muslim, Sunni, okay, which I then abandoned about, what was it? I was 22. I'm 39 now. 17 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: is it Leroy?
Yeah, apparently. Yes,
okay.
Theoretically.
There are a couple of knowns in Hollywood. There are 2, literally. One is when you see a pink Corvette, you know Evangeline is in that car.
Oh, right.
Right? The other one is when you see a mosque, you think Cenk is in there doing something un-American.
Plotting, mainly plotting. And plotting on not only how to take over and do pro-terrorism videos, but plotting how to be a low-life minority and a freeloader as well.
Yeah, God, you just hit all the criteria, man, for hate.
No, I left out homosexual because that doesn't fly in mosque.
Yeah,
that you do on your off time.
No.
Okay, now, so the next guy then responds.
Though you do spend a lot of time on your knees.
Well, it's a different situation. Mosque.
Yeah. That's being a little Sunni.
That is a little Sunni to spend a lot of time on your knees. Yeah. But don't get me in trouble with the Muslims again.
Yeah, I won't.
Okay, so then the next guy responds, fish, dog, pig, squirrel. Okay, nice to meet you, Mr. Fish, dog, pig, squirrel. LOL, the comment right before main is an epic fail. Okay, so he's saying Leroy's an epic fail. He doesn't understand. First of all, Cenk is Jewish. Second of all, what pro-terroristic videos has he come out with? I like to, come on. Is there any pro-terroristic videos? I'd like to check it out. I think he's defending me there, but now I'm Jewish.
Wait a minute. So, yeah, the correction here happens to be completely wrong as well, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any of those videos out, like next to girls with guns? Is there Cenk with junk or something, like doing some sort of...
That should be
with
a segment
weaponry,
on the show.
Cenk with junk?
Yeah.
Thank you. It's all yours. Take that.
No,
so it's Jewish Cenk, right? So you're also Jewish.
Apparently so. We can shorten that. Is Jew Cenk a little
Jew Cenk?
catchier?
Cenk Jew? I like it. Has alliteration, and that's good. But, by the way, do you have a birth certificate? Do you mind producing it?
Only the short form. I don't have the long form.
The birther movement is going to be crawling down your neck any minute now.
By the way, my birth certificate is from Istanbul, Turkey.
Oh, okay.
So once they find that out, they're like, aha! But that's what I've always said. That's where I was born.
You know what? I can hear the posts being written now on your site that you're not an American citizen and you're this Muslim, low-life minority, homosexual liberal who happens to be Jewish.
I got it all, man. I got it all. Finally, though, Board Guy 299 did figure it out. Cenk isn't Muslim or Jewish. He was born a Muslim, but he's agnostic. Thank you. A little bit of truth on YouTube.
Okay.
All right. So now we go from YouTube to Facebook. Well, there is a disastrous story of a kid named Anthony Stankel. He's 19 now, but he was a Wisconsin teen, and he was using Facebook to blackmail dozens of his classmates into sex. See, here's what he would do, Brian. He would say that he's a girl on Facebook, okay? You know, not put up his real picture, clever. And he would then ask male classmates to send him naked photos of themselves, okay?
Oh, this was dude on dude sex?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So
Just wanted to get that out there.
Right. And then once he got their pictures, he would then use it to blackmail them for sex.
Oh, my God. It's that easy?
Apparently so, until you get caught. I mean, no, here's the stunning part of the story. 30 guys fell for it. Now,
And 30 guys submitted naked photos of themselves to this guy.
right, and got blackmailed. Now, how many of those actually had the sex we're not entirely clear on, okay? But apparently a lot of them.
And how many of them enjoyed it?
Well, that's a separate issue entirely.
All right.
I can't speak to that.
So is this man hell-bent on sort of dragging guys in high school out of the closet, or is he just too shy to ask them to the prom?
I think that he thought, look, you know what, this is a clever little scam. And except for the fact that it's wildly illegal and terribly, you know, manipulative, et cetera, and slightly evil, it was a little clever. You know, and so were the guys gay that he, you know, tricked into sex? Maybe some of them, but I would imagine a large percentage of them would not classify themselves that way.
And so what happened to this guy ultimately? Is he got caught by one of the guys who gave a photo,
right,
and wasn't willing to be blackmailed, right? And then what?
Well, eventually, so this goes to the authorities because he's blackmailing, and that's a crime. That's a very serious crime. And he faced a maximum of 30 years, but he got sentenced finally to 15 years in prison. Now, what do you think about that, Brian? Because, I mean, look, obviously it's blackmail. Obviously he shouldn't have done it, etc. But, I mean, those kids didn't, and now they're all kids. He was a kid at the time. He's 19 now, right? So kid meaning under 18, right? They all did do it, the ones that did, right? But blackmail, I don't know, I'm kind of torn on it. I shouldn't be torn on it. It's blackmail, etc. But 15 years, not that he shouldn't get convicted, but 15 years is a long, long time.
Yeah, it feels excessive to me. Because you could also, the kid is being obviously clever, right? If you took social media out of it, right? He's basically just a kid in high school trying to have sex with as many of his male classmates as possible.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And that's tough in high school, right?
Yeah,
the probability of him sleeping with 30 dudes in his class, slim to none, right? Mm-hmm. He might have one experience behind the dugout with someone, after class. I don't know, probably. Right. But 30, I mean, he came up with a very ingenious sort of method, right?
And what do we do?
To humiliate them for their nakedness.
Right. And what do? We punish him for it.
That's right.
All right. And the kid, by the way, boys are so funny. Teenage boys are so easy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean in the sex department, but in the sending the pictures.
Yep.
He's like, hey, I'm a hot girl. They're like, okay, here's my penis. Go.
Right.
No, calm down. Think for a second. Why are you sending your penis over Facebook?
Right.
It's crazy. Don't do that.
Yes.
You don't know who it's going to.
I mean, that's the lesson here. There are a couple of lessons here. One, don't ever send a shot of your penis over never shoot anything like that. Don't take a picture of your dick and give it to anybody. And women, don't take a picture of your vagina, your asshole, your boobs. Don't send that. Don't transmit any electronic image of your body. Seriously, unless you want to be made fun of. Second, we have a lot of body shame in this issue, this story, and then in this country. Those kids were so feeling embarrassed by the... If we were at a freer society where they didn't feel so bad about their naked bodies, there'd be no blackmail.
Right, because if you're straight and a guy says to you, look, I got a picture of your body and you need to have sex with me, I mean, I'm going to go with no, right? And then, but the bottom line is, Brian's right. So, okay, you got a picture of my body. It's my body.
So what?
All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go crazy.
Put it on. Do what you will.
Right.
Mister.
So, but I think the final moral of this story is the one Brian really touched on. Don't take a picture of your asshole.
That's right.
Don't do it. Can't win with it. Can't play with it.
And I want to say, too, to any priests who are listening, don't try this at home. It's clearly very effective. And I just want to, right? We want to make sure that,
absolutely,
that we've put one scandal to bed. Let's not have another one.
So this goes out to everybody.
Cannot play with them. Cannot win with them. Cannot coach with them. Can't do it.
Can't do it. All right, so that's Anthony Stansill, it turns out is how you pronounce his name, and he's going away for 15 years.
My God. Well, he'll have a lot of fun in prison.
Yeah, well, one could argue. Okay, now, amazing non-sexual story. How did that sneak into the lineup?
I don't know. There must be a mistake.
No religion, there's no sex in this story. I don't know what's happening.
We'll try to find a sexual angle to this, though.
Right. Apparently, the Chilean earthquake shake the Earth off its axis a little bit, which scares the shit out of me.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
Wow.
Now, apparently, really strong earthquakes can do this and have done this in the past. And this is not something that's unheard of. But the other thing that it did is it shortened the day by 1.26 microseconds. I don't know how long a microsecond is, but, those could add up.
Shorter than the time it takes to actually think about it. Basically.
I suspect you're right.
So what are the, other than a time difference that's modified, what other effects or consequences of the Earth being knocked off its axis? What happens to us?
Well, now it appears that it's about 3 inches off its axis. Now, I don't know why I'm having trouble finding it in this story, but it's either 3 inches or 3 centimeters. But I was surprised by that because that actually sounds bigger than the microsecond issue, right? And so far, I guess it doesn't have any consequences, okay? And there's 2 different axes of the Earth, the horizontal axis and the other axis, the one I should have highlighted in the story. So I don't think it has an immediate effect, like, oh my God. But then I thought, like, there's some chance one day, instead of having an 8.8, we have a 9.8 earthquake, right? And, those earthquakes get exponentially bigger. Those 0.1s, I believe, are either 10 or 100 times worse than the one before, right? Have I got the facts butchered in this story? Okay, anyway, you fill me in later.
Because you're not only are you a Sunni homosexual liberal Jew, you're also a seismologist.
Damn it, Jim. I'm not a seismologist. I'm a freeloader.
You're the lowest of low, and you're a seismologist to boot.
Come to think of it, we do have a geologist on staff.
You do?
Yeah, we do. Dave,
Can I ask Dave a question?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Dave, the Chilean earthquake apparently moves us 3 inches off our axes, I believe. Number one, is that potentially devastating, or is it completely irrelevant?
Of course, it's completely irrelevant. I'm telling you, don't fight the Earth. The climate will change, the axis will change, the sunlight, the moon, the tides. It just doesn't matter. There was a time when the Earth was a orbiting ball of fire from pole to pole, and now it's nice. In the future, it won't be nice. It's just. I think I went a little off topic.
No, but the thing is, Dave, that's what I'm worried about. Because I feel like I don't fight the Earth. You get a 9.8, instead of moving 3 inches, it moves 3 miles off its axis, and we're all dead, right?
Is this
and
like
it's
being,
a ball of fire again?
Is this like being a little, because you're a geologist, is this like being a little drunk and falling down and dislocating your shoulder? It'll like pop back? Like, you know what I mean? You just reset
No,
it?
not really. I don't know what you mean.
Like, is it going to pop back onto its axis?
I see what he's saying.
Yeah. Get off your axis. And
I don't know the answer to that. I just don't know.
Can I ask you one more question?
Sure, many more.
This is not just, this is not two tectonic plates rubbing against each other in the middle of the night. This was continental drift, is what I'm hearing. This goes back to something, this is something that the continents are moving. That's why this was so big, right? Is that right?
Sure. I mean, continental drift occurs about the rate your fingernails grow. This would be like you wake up one morning and next thing you know, you have a 3-inch fingernail.
Okay. All right. I just needed to know that because CNN, there's so many idiots on CNN trying to tell me what this means. You just gave me, in a metaphor about a fingernail, the perfect description that it took me 4 days to get out of some dope from Atlanta.
And now I'm going to ask one more question on this. And by the way, I figured out why I don't have any of the facts. I printed out the wrong story. I'm like, damn it, where is the 3 inches in the story?
What's that story about?
No, it turns out it's about like some sex tape.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. It's a Chilean story, but it was a shorter version. Okay, so Dave, is there any chance that if we move 30 inches or 300 inches off the axis, that we do turn into a ball of flame?
Sure, but it's inconceivable that there could be that much force to throw us that far off axis. The changes by this earthquake, which was as big as you can get, as big as we've ever gotten, are so minuscule it's not even. It's a curiosity. It's nothing practical and anywhere close.
Okay, not going to happen. Okay,
not going to happen.
Okay, because by the way, if you don't, Chilean earthquake was the 7th largest in recorded history. So it is near one of the largest that's ever happened, as far as we know, right? So that's what Dave is referring to, saying it's about as big as it's going to get. And finally, to tie all those stories together, don't take a picture of your axis either.
And send that to anyone.
Okay,
You're right.
definitely
Just
not
keep
over Facebook.
your axis under wraps.
All right.
Have you heard about axis bleaching?
I have not.
It's big in L.A. right now.
You got to tell me during the break.
You got it.
Okay. Let's take a quick break. Come right back. And then we do have the sex tapes. Young Turks.